Hello, and welcome to another edition of Quote Me, an insurance podcast with James Lott Jr. Who am I? I'm James Lott Jr., of course, here at JLJ Media. And I, this is fun for me and exciting for me because I would not be doing this podcast. I would have not done the last podcast if it wasn't for this person. I had him come on my show a couple of years ago, like 4 or 5 years ago. Another show I do. We had this great conversation. We've been friends for years. This great conversation, and people were like, on his end, we're kind of like, James, you're still alive? Where is he? And on my end, who is this dude? You guys were so great together. It did very well for me in numbers. And I said, okay, so it led to opportunities for me returning to the industry I had left like 11 years prior. So, in a different way, of course, as I'm doing podcasting. He's the president of Kulchin Ross Insurance Services here in Southern California. He's my friend, Derek Ross. Hi, Derek.
James, hello, James. We are friends, and we've been friends for a long, long, long time. And the beauty of friendship is that we trust one another, we rely on one another, and that's what life is all about. So I'm glad to be here with you today. And most importantly, thank you for inviting me. We're about to embark on a topic that is extremely important to not only our industry, but to society, which is helping our youngsters find a purposeful meaning in their life and giving them some direction to figure out where they ought to be and where they're going. So you lead the way. I will just be a passenger on your ship. So take it away, Captain James.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. No, the thing is, and here's what's funny. It's actually important to us in our history because we're going to talk about perpetuation and younger people re-entering an industry. And of course, obviously, it's insurance leaning, but everything we're going to talk about could be led to anything, right? So he and I met years ago in a land far, far away, a long time ago, during a thing that was called the Young Brokers and Agents Conference. And we're talking young, and I was 30 and under. And so as I get older, I'm like, that is young. No, that was young.
Well, I started when I was two. So, I was highly intellectual and very verbal. So yeah, it's been a hell of a ride.
It was great. It was great. Yeah, he's like a insurance savant. He was a prodigy. He was a prodigy. And too, yeah, I was 5, so that's how I started. No, but it was funny because that's how we met, and I had never heard of this before, but I loved the program. When we had heard about it, and I was told more about it. I was like, oh great! And we had these conferences that had a fun side, but also had an actual education track and stuff. Unfortunately, they don't have that anymore. And Derek and I were talking the other day. I'm just like how do we get these people in here? Because I'll make a big statement, and I want Derek to comment on the statement I'm about to make. In it, I've done insurance shows now for like 5 years. What I have found, and also my 11 years of experience in the business, you may have a skill out there, you are watching or listening, that can be applied in the insurance industry. That's my big statement. Derek,
Facts.
where do you want to take? Let's
Facts.
start off with that.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's very important for us as individuals, and I like to speak in sort of broad brushstrokes here, to identify what our strengths and our weaknesses are. And I'm a big, firm believer that we should stay in our strength zone and not focus so much on our weakness zone and try to enhance our strengths and use those to our advantage. And that's an area that I try to instill in the young folks that I speak with, which is truly identify what it is you're good at, harness that energy, develop it, and then apply it with purpose. And whether it's in the insurance industry or in the real estate industry or in the financial industry, whatever it is, try to find what you're good at and then use it. And quite frankly, when you use it, it becomes contagious. And other people begin to gravitate towards you because they recognize that it's a strength. And if you're moving through with purposeful intent, you're going to surround yourself with other people who will fill your buckets of weakness by enhancing you with their strengths. And quite frankly, I believe it is a true recipe for success.
What you're saying is completely correct. And I will say this. I always wondered when I was younger what my passion would be in terms of jobs. I have passions and other things, but my jobs. And once I found it, and I had people help me work it out, which is for me, it's a media business. I had mentors and people. I went to a network and they taught me all this stuff. And you're right. All of a sudden, it all comes together. It does. It almost is like magic. Like, okay. Like it's not magic. It's just that I'm now purposeful and I found something that I can do and do it well. And then all of a sudden people started presenting themselves and situations, right?
Absolutely. You know, as I move forward and bring younger people into the business, you know, the array of skills has expanded.
Oh
So
yes.
what we thought was the future of technology or whatever that is not the future. It is now the present. And that future has expanded. And I'll throw out a little story that just happened recently. I was watching the original movie RoboCop
Oh
from
yeah. I love RoboCop. I love RoboCop.
1987
I love it.
with my two daughters who are 15 and 16.
They're 15 and 16.
I do. I do.
I know. No. I mean, I remember before they were 15 and 16 years old.
Yes, yes.
You and Homegirl have a 15 and 16-year-old.
Yeah, yeah. And they have personalities and they talk back and all that kind of stuff. It's amazing. My point here, though, is as we were watching that movie, RoboCop was a movie about the future.
Yes.
And suddenly it panned into the future. And the future was 2028. I
Oh,
looked at my daughters and went, whoa, this is where we thought we would be
right.
in just a few years from now. And quite frankly, we are significantly further
Ooh,
than
okay.
we then the movie had predicted in many ways. And in other ways, we are not too far away from what the movie asserted what the future would be. And so it put everything in perspective where if you envision it or you dream it,
Yeah.
it can become reality, but it takes purposeful intent. It takes finding your strengths and applying them in a way that allows you to continue moving the needle forward, extending the goalposts. And there is no just hard stop on life or hard stop on concepts. We never ever stop learning because once we do, that's when life gets boring.
Yeah, well, I say you should. I mean, you should learn until you die. You should be learning something. And I have an aunt who's in her 80s, and she always says, "I still have dreams. She goes, I still have dreams and things. Why do you have to stop because now I'm not working full time, or I'm retired, or I'm 70 or like it's like no, you should always be striving or just thinking or just believing in stuff. Why not?
Indeed. And you know, it when you look at life, I love to look at life like the ocean. I'm a big ocean guy.
Me too.
And I pretty much look at every dynamic like a wave. Where did it come from? Where is it now? And where is it going? And when you put things in perspective like that, you recognize that our older generation, which is still around, has
Yes.
so much to share with us. In fact, there are many lessons of the past that we have forgotten today that still need to be applied. Yet, there are many lessons we haven't learned in the future that we must be open-minded to and be open-hearted and embrace. I know some of it, even to myself, is hard to
I
understand.
know.
However, if we were to lose all power, all electricity, all internet, all of the technologies that we take advantage of, we have to go back to where we came from, which is human to human interaction, looking people in the eyes, the power of touch, basically living like cavemen, going out and hunting and gathering. We cannot become too dependent on the technologies that are before us because once we do and we forget how things were done in the past, then we may just wake up wondering, I don't know how to move forward anymore. So, you know, again, looking at where we were, where we are, and where we're going, taking all that, mixing it into your little witch's brew, and then creating the potion or the magic, which is reality.
I love that. No, and I agree with you because I just know that in certain situations I've been in when technology fails you, it is the human side that comes out that you have to rely on. And that's that just at jobs, folks. I'm not just talking about in real life, just in jobs where technology just completely fails, this happens, and you still got something to do.
Correct.
That's when you have to use your just regular human brain and find a way to get through it. And the people who can adapt, those are the best. And I agree with you. I'm always about the ancestry, the people before us. But I have young people around me. I know you too. I have them around me because they actually teach me things that add to my. I know I'm old, folks. My Rolodex. I always say it all the time. Add to my mental, cabinet, because it's both. It's
Yeah.
like it's the past and it's the present slash future. I want to learn from both.
The human brain will always be the most magnificent, complex, misunderstood computer on the planet.
Yes.
And for not the human brain, we would not be able to develop any of the things that we take for advantage now. And it is important to continue to expand the human brain. And let's look at AI technology for a moment.
Yeah.
AI technology does not have a true, genuine personality.
No,
AI technology does not have real human feelings.
no.
AI technology cannot feel the despair. It cannot truly feel happiness. And it is important for us through our continued evolution of the human life cycle to not forget that, again, the human to human interaction is truly God's gift. And whether you are a spiritual individual or not, we cannot forget the importance of relationships and leaning on one another and truly embracing the concept of community, family structure, honoring those of the past, acknowledging those of our present, and of course, being open to the opportunities of our future.
Yeah. Um, as we slide into actual insurance, I'll make another statement.
Please.
There is maybe two other industries that I'm make sure it's a strong statement. There's maybe two other industries besides insurance that people of all ages need. For me, medical kind of falls into almost kind of insurancy stuff. And for me, it's professional organizing. I stand by that completely. Professional organizing, to me, you could be a child, you could be an old person, you need it. So that's my other profession, obviously. But for insurance, it cuts everybody. It goes through everyone, any situation, anywhere. That's my major statements. So I want to see what your thoughts are on that.
Well, I mean, look, there is absolute truth to that statement. Um, we have laws that require us to have automobile insurance. When you buy a property and you take a loan from a bank, they require you to have some sort of property insurance. I spent 8 years serving my community on our school district,
Yeah.
and there is a major part of the educational world that requires insurance coverage to protect the children, to protect the property. You know, insurance is an interesting dynamic because not a lot of people understand it. Many people don't like paying for it, myself included, but it is part of the reality of life. And I would suggest that the insurance industry has and continues to be a ripe and fertile opportunity for young people to dive into. You don't need a college degree. You don't have to be brilliant. There is no perfect mold. There is no perfect individual that is just designed to come into the insurance industry. I was very fortunate at around 16 years old to be introduced to this industry. I have always loved vehicles, exotic vehicles, high performance vehicles. I met a gentleman who happened to insure them. I quit my job at the yogurt store and started learning the insurance biz. and I never left. And here I am many, 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 many years later, and I don't want to put a number on it, still learning,
Yeah.
still thriving. And the beauty of what we've done in our firm is that we have, as I've suggested, embraced the past, the legacy. I have individuals in our firm now that are in our 20s, that are in their 20s, and I also have individuals that are in their 80s. And the cross pollination between what I consider a legacy individual who's been around, done that, and then the newbie who's come in, who's just learning, is unbelievable. And again, that is something that we must honor and protect and continue that cross pollination. And I do believe that the youth learns so much from the legacy guys, and then the legacy guys get so much
Yeah.
from the youth. In fact, I think it keeps them going. It keeps a little burning flame going inside of them, and
Yeah.
it keeps them feeling like they have a purpose. Because as we addressed earlier, when you lose your purpose, when you wake up not truly being connected to a community or something, that's when life becomes challenging. So I couldn't agree with you anymore. We continue to bring young people in from high schools and colleges, understanding that they may not like insurance. I have brought in many interns that have been licensed, that have developed in our agency that I wish never left, but they became a lawyer. They became a
Uh,
musician. They became a nurse. These are real examples, and that is okay. And then there are others in our office who have stayed and they have thrived.
yeah.
And again, the profession of insurance is a hidden gem, and oftentimes it gets a bad rap, and it really doesn't deserve that at all.
So how? Here's a question for you: to get younger people in, we're talking at this point younger millennials, Gen Zers. The Gen Alphas aren't old enough yet, but they're getting there. Some of the older ones will be getting there. Insurance isn't sexy. Insurance
I
it
would disagree.
isn't
I,
click-worthy. It's
I,
like so.
I would disagree
Okay.
because it depends on what niche or industry you're working with. So, for example, high-end automobiles are sexy.
Okay,
You know,
they are. You're right.
if you look at a brand new Ferrari or Lambo or McLaren or Bugatti, I mean, those are some sexy,
They
sexy
are. They
vehicles.
are.
And
Yes.
there are many parts of the insurance industry that can be sexy. Yet there are also some parts that are very boring and not so fun. It is what it if you can find something that you are passionate about and bring that passion into the business, it suddenly takes away what you're alluding to, which is the not so sexy piece, and makes it sexy. It develops a passion inside of you, which makes it fun. I will tell you this: the insurance industry is a very, very fun business because
Oh, I know that. I know that. Yes.
you meet a lot of characters like you, James, and I would consider you a pretty fun, unique, dynamic, and interesting guy, which I love to surround myself with.
Right. Right.
So I don't mean to push back on that one, but
No, 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 no.
it
But
all
please
depends
do.
on what your definition of sexy is.
Well, that no, I love this. I love this. It's like, I love this. So okay, so I'm gonna go further. So I'm glad you clarified that because also there is like if you want to do entertainment insurance, which I'm part of that also, of course. I mean, it can be fun. But here's the thing: so people like me who, or somebody who's even less than me out there, who just think it's boring. How do we make them? What should the industry do? That's the question. In your opinion, more to make it not make it attractive, but just show them how attractive it can be. That's the question. In your opinion, in this industry, what can we do more to make sure it's more? I don't do this show as one way of doing it, but like, what can we do more?
Well, I was going to say more exposure, obviously, like what you're doing here.
Yeah.
But most importantly, and this was put into my genes, and I'm actually looking at a couple of awards that I had won from a gentleman named Bernie Lewis. And Bernie Lewis was was an old timer. God rest his soul, rest in peace,
Okay.
rest in power, as they say,
Yes, rest in power.
rest
Yes.
in power. And he taught me early on to go into the high schools and
Okay.
talk about what we do. And not enough people take the time to do that. They're
Yeah.
busy raising families, doing whatever they feel that they need to be doing.
Yeah.
We have to message to the young people how fantastic this industry is. And when we look at lawyers, doctors, accountants, the reality is that the insurance individual is sitting at the same table.
Yeah.
The trusted advisor, it's a term that's been thrown around
Yeah.
over many, many years.
Yes.
And
Yes.
what I would suggest is that whomever is moving forward, as they reach out to their lawyer or doctor, whatever, the insurance professional is just as important. In fact, maybe even more important because the insurance policy adds a layer of protection,
Yeah. I guess, yeah.
which is I think lost in translation.
Yeah.
We are all about transferring risk and making sure that businesses, individuals are protected. It is as important as a law enforcement officer, right? We are adding a layer of protection. I'm sitting here in my office right now, and I'm thinking about the people who own this building.
Uh,
We have to provide them
yeah.
with proof of insurance
Right.
because, gosh forbid, someone comes in and slips and falls and gets hurt.
Yeah.
Well, the first thing they're going to do is go to their attorney. And then what? The attorney sends out a letter, a demand letter. And guess where that demand letter goes next? Straight to the insurance
Sure.
company.
Yep. Insurance. Yep.
There will always be a need for insurance folks. Now, the
Awesome.
question is how dedicated and how hard do you want to work to develop the relationships where those folks trust you enough to put you at the seat of the table with the lawyer, with the accountant, with the financial advisor?
Yeah.
So when I go and speak to young people, one of the most important things I talk about is integrity, is trust. And you can look behind me and see
I
the
like.
pyramid of success.
I love it.
One of the greatest humans, let alone coaches, John Wooden. He had the secret formula right here,
Yeah. I know
right
that.
here. It's about team. And it's important for us to acknowledge, and I've said the word community multiple times.
Yeah.
When you build it, when you develop a community that is built upon people's strengths, the sky is the limit.
And
And
I'll
it
tell you something. I'll say another statement. I've noticed insurance is one of the very few industries where there is no competition and there is it's a little bit of both, but it isn't like you could call somebody, your friend at another brokerage who knows something maybe that you don't know, and they'll help you or at least get you somewhere and to get like I've noticed how friendly everybody kind of is. Yeah, some competition here and there. I mean, everybody's trying to make some money. But I feel like it's one of the few industries where people will share knowledge with you when you call. You're like, oh, I have this situation going on. What do you think? And that person will help you. You work at two different companies. And I find that camaraderie is like so you don't find it anywhere else. I mean, in the entertainment business, they don't do that at all. Everybody's like quiet.
my success today is based upon exactly what you just suggested. In fact, just this morning, I was out to breakfast with the COO of a very large insurance brokerage, way larger than mine.
Okay.
And we were just sitting down talking about how we deal with different parts of our business, how we navigate through different issues. And we're not doing it in a competitive way. We're
No.
doing it in a way to help enhance one another. And you are right, there is a sense of camaraderie. And I
Yeah.
don't think it's truly just indicative of the insurance industry. I think it has to do with the people you surround yourself with. And we have been very fortunate in our domain here in Los Angeles and through the state of California that we do have some wonderful, wonderful people
Yes.
who have opened their hearts and their minds in sharing. When I first came into the business, I would suggest that the old guard was pretty closed
Oh, yes.
and they felt threatened because they didn't understand how important it was to share. And they felt that sharing was going to create a dynamic that would maybe make them go away.
Right.
And I don't believe in that. I believe in the more I share, the more I can give to those around me, A, the better they'll do and the
Right.
more success they'll have. And for me, I learn as well. It's very short-sighted to not want to share what you know.
I agree. I just,
It's part of the karmic cycle.
right.
The more you give, the more you get.
Right.
And it's not quid pro quo.
No.
It's just let's talk in a non-competitive way. And I would argue that out of all of my insurance friends and acquaintances, probably 90% of them would not go after one of my customers.
Oh, yeah.
And
I
I know that if I were to find a customer that fell on my lap where they were complaining about you, James. James is not returning my calls. James won't respond to my emails. He's rude. He never smiles. He's unpleasant. The first thing I'm going to do is call up James and go, yo, James, I just spoke with this customer.
right.
He ain't happy. You better pick up the phone and fix this because if you don't, then he's going to end up coming my way.
Right.
But I'm letting you know that you need to contact him. There is plenty of business out there that we do not need to be eating other people's lunches. There is plenty of business. In fact, there is plenty of mediocrity in our business. And because of that, folks like myself and others who take this seriously thrive.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's very true. I did a show on customer service. It's like customer service is very important. But I want to go to your point of that. Derek is completely right. I've seen it over the years how people have come together and they will call each other up and tell each other what's going on. And I just haven't seen it. I'm in a cutthroat business over here in entertainment. I don't see it very often. I have some people. We have a little circle, but the bigger circle, it's rough out there. It's all about just me, and what can I get? So that's why I enjoy insurance business because everyone is so friendly and it's not phony.
And let me add this. I'm not trying to express this in a DEI kind of way, but there is so much diversity
There is.
in our business. And that diversity goes back way before DEI and
Yeah,
all these
yeah,
words that people love to throw out.
right.
There has always been a very diverse group of individuals. And James, we can go back
Yes, we can.
sometime,
Yes.
and you and I are very different. Yet we've been very open to one another. And here we have a long-lasting friendship
Yeah.
that is came from the past, is here today, and will transcend into the future.
Yeah.
And you know many people that I know, and I know many people that you know. There is not a lot of judgment.
No.
Quite frankly, we are all humans.
Yeah.
We are all trying to do the best that we can, wake up, be pleasant, try to do good for other people. And when you surround yourself with people like that, it's just a recipe for success. And it makes what you do every day fun and
Yeah.
exciting. And that's the one thing about insurance that's interesting is that each and every day I wake up and it's a completely different look.
Yes.
Because I have customers that span all industries,
Yes.
from restaurants to mechanical bull operators to cannabis to everything you can imagine.
Right.
So every day, not only do I get to deal with different people, but I've also been exposed to many industries that we often have to become an expert from afar, right? So all of a sudden you have a client who's in the restaurant business. Well, gosh darn it, you really need to learn the restaurant business.
Yeah.
And that transcends into any new client and any religion, any business, whether it's churches and synagogues or school districts or whatever. You must understand and learn. And again, the learning part, learning new knowledge, being connected to something different, is the lifeblood of what human nature is all about. And this computer up here is very powerful. And when you put two people together and you start to kind of wrench on what are your concerns? What is it that could hurt you at the end of the day? What are the values that you bring to your customers? These are great conversations. And in fact, as I suggested before, the accountant, the lawyer, you end up helping your customers come up with new ideas. And suddenly these become customers for life because they don't look at you as offering a commodity. They look at you as a consultant, whether it's consulting on risk matters, consulting on HR matters. I mean, whatever a business does, we have to be a part of. And that's what makes what we do coming into work fun for me.
Yeah. So, folks, you should know that when I got into the business, I came from retail, I came from food service, I came from nursing, I came from journalism, I came from all of that. And so, and the part of business that I did was education and event planning, both those two things. But it was also about education. And for years, I loved it. I mean, I'm just telling you, I really enjoyed the education piece. So, folks out there, if you're young and you want help in education and stuff, there's some you get to learn stuff while you're also helping others, other brokers get in there. That was the area I liked, and I did it for 11 years. I loved it. That was an area I liked it a lot. I
It's
love learning.
important, and it's important to identify you don't need a college degree
Huh?
to come into this business. The day you turn 18 is the day you can start the coursework to become an insurance broker. I don't recall what the exact hours are these days because it's
All right.
expanded, but
Yeah.
once you bang through those hours, which can be done online in a very quick turnaround, you go and take the test. And quite frankly, you could be 18 years old in a couple of months and have the same exact license that I have. And then you're good to go. And depending upon what track you head down, whether it's in special investigations, workers' comp, customer service, sales, whatever it is, the sky is the limit. And that is the beauty of the industry that we provide and offer is that, many people don't like school. Many
Right.
people are
Right.
just
That's fine.
not
Yeah.
designed to go to college. And you know what? That's okay.
It
And
is.
we are more than welcoming those folks into our industry because we need people to come into this industry, and our customers need more people to help them as
Yeah.
they move on.
I want to bring this up too, folks. If you're thinking about having a family, it's a great industry. You can be home for your kids when you need to be home. You can pick them up from school. You can talk about that yourself. Because, I mean, I watched him before he got married and had kids. I don't think so. He can tell you if you're young and if you have kids right now, you can still work that out. That's the whole thing. Like, not all industries are open to that. This industry actually promotes the family units, community. So if you have kids or think about having kids or you think about getting married, you still do that. And so the insurance, right, Derek? Because I mean, you obviously have done it all these years.
Yeah, I mean, look, COVID taught us a lot about, working remote. And there are definitely bonuses to that. And I also think that there are some challenges. The challenge that you miss out on working remote is the community of being in the office and listening and hearing what other people are saying and having your elders hear what you're saying and be able to kind of reach over and say, hey, don't forget to say this or don't forget to say that.
Yeah.
And we joke, a saleswoman or man should not be sitting in the office all day long. They ought to be out. And what does that mean when you're out? You're out in the world, you're exploring, you're seeing new things, you're driving, meeting new people. And if you are of that personality type where you like to be free and you want to spread your wings and fly, the opportunities for us again, there is no limit. It is whatever you may, it's whatever you want it to be. And that is a prime line. I'm trying to see, I have this little line here. I can't find it, but is essentially it's whatever you want it to be. You can make your future happen ahead of schedule if you choose.
That was very true. I mean, that's very true. And I tell you, your personality, you got big personality that can help you a lot in this business. Medium-sized personality still can help you. Like, it's just, it's I was fully who I was. You guys know who I am at home. You know how I am. I was fully who I was in the business, and it did help. I learned. So I'm looking at my little certifications from my time with insurance, and I love it. I learned a lot of stuff that I use today. That I had to use my own. My roof collapsed. I had to use my own knowledge of insurance, and I mean, it helped my family who doesn't know anything about it. They're like, "What do we do?" And I'm like, that's probably covered it. Let me read your policy. Like I know how to do all this stuff because I learned how to read contracts. I learned how to read. I mean, there's so many things I learned about through an insurance industry that will seriously help you in life. It's not even a hyperbole. It's not a joke. Literally, it really. My mother will tell you, "Thank God James was here, and he worked. He knew what to do." Because people, like you said, people don't know what the layperson doesn't get what insurance really is sometimes. But it's an actual working, living, breathing thing. That yes, it's all predicated on the hoping nothing ever happens to use it. But life happens, and you may have to use it.
Well,
Uh,
and
right?
that is so true. And look, James, you know as well as I do, going back in time, it was a very conservative industry.
Yes.
And, just conservative,
Stuffy.
stuffy,
Yes.
serious. And it has evolved.
You
It
know what happened?
truly has evolved. And I am happy to have been a part of that ride and watched the continue evolvement of just more young people coming in, all shapes, all sizes, all colors, all attitudes, all
Yeah.
of it. And that is the beauty of what we do, is that there really isn't a particular type that must come in. You must be college educated, you must be this, you must be that, and that is your key to success. I am blown away by some of the individuals that I meet that are highly successful. They don't wear a suit every day. I just happen to be wearing a suit today. You mirror the people that you work with, right? So, if you're dealing with an industry like, say, the amusement industry, you're not going to show up at the carnival, in a suit and Bruno Magli's. You're going to show up in jeans, a white tee, and some J's, right? So you really begin to mirror who you're working with. And again, that's part of the beauty. There's really no rules how you go about attracting customers, retaining customers, and developing those relationships. The only rules you have to follow are the rules of the Department of Insurance. And I'm certainly not going to go down the list and quote them because I don't know them and I don't want to know every one of them off the top of my head. But we do know that there are certain responsibilities and certain things we must do. And I will put all the rules into one big category: integrity, trust. When you follow with integrity and trust,
Yeah.
and you lead from a purposeful place, success is in arm's reach. And it's true. It's
It's,
true. I am proof of that, quite frankly. I really am.
and I'm proof of it too. I'll say I'm proof of it also. I mean, I know people. We're self-made men. Me and
Correct.
we are. No, we are. I mean, we're self-made. We're self-made men. I started from scratch. So I mean, several times over. Started from scratch. And
And as you know, there's many generational agencies where the grandfather and the
yes,
son and the
right.
grandson,
Yes.
and that exists. And look, there's nothing wrong with that. That
No, no,
is a
no.
great thing.
Yeah.
But people like you, my shop is a scratch shop. My
Yeah.
partner and I decided to team up. We put our strengths together, and it created that yin and yang, as they
Yeah.
say.
Yeah. You did.
And
Yeah.
then we enhance that by bringing in more people that have additional strengths. And then suddenly you look around, as we've grown and grown and grown over the years to a healthy number of people. It's amazing how many strengths we have and how deep the knowledge base is. And all of us want to share it, because the more we share, the more we can do for others. And watching other people succeed and grow, quite frankly, is the
I
greatest,
agree. I agree.
greatest gift that
Yeah.
one can give to themselves and to others. It's not about how much money you have in the bank. And, one of my favorite musicians, Bob Marley, talked about richness, right? And a reporter, many of you may have seen the little video. This reporter says, "Are you rich?" And Bob said, "Well, what do you mean by rich? How do you define rich?" And the interviewer said, "Well, do you have a lot of money?" And Bob pushed back and said that rich is defined by money. And it's when you think about it from that perspective, rich is not defined by how much money you have in the bank. Rich is defined by whatever you want it to be. For me, it's defined by conversations like this and friendships I've grown. Richness for me is watching my wife smile. Richness is watching my two children thrive and grow and blossom. That is my definition of rich. And that definition evolves as we get older. And if you take that mentality and put it into this business or any other business, I feel that you are just destined to succeed.
Well, I'm going to challenge anybody who's in insurance, who's of a certain age, over a certain age, to reach out to younger people out there. I'm gonna challenge you all. If you're, I know people in the industry watch this, please. And I have shows coming up where I got people coming on who are very diverse, who are in the industry. They're doing very diverse things, like Derek, and I'm really excited to have them on the show. Shows coming up, and I'm just going to just challenge people, just to, look around you. Is there a young man at the grocery store you think he's doing great and he's a checker? Or maybe you thinking he could, or on your kids' sports teams and they're 18 years old and they're like, I don't want to go to college, or I'm going to junior college or whatever. Like, talk to them. I was going to, everybody out there, just like, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to promise you that too. If I see somebody, I'm thinking, maybe that could be for you. I'll
Well,
talk.
one of the ways to easily approach that topic is, as we already identified earlier, everyone has insurance. You can't drive a car without insurance, right? So when your insurance renewal comes up, discuss it. Bring your child into the mix. Explain to them what it is, what it means, how you pay for it, what it does. And that is a piece that we often forget. We bring them to the doctor or we bring them to the accountant because at some point they have to file taxes. But at no point do we sit down and go, look, child, you must have auto insurance. And this is why. And this is what it does. And then once you get their mind stimulated on what insurance is, that is the eye opener, because it identifies how important and mandatory it is for the world to move. Because once insurance is not there, then you can't drive. You're not going to buy a house. You're not going to do a lot of things. And I think that messaging gets lost in translation.
Yeah, no, you're the bomb. I can talk to you forever, and I'm like, and you have to come back on another time.
We had this problem last time, James.
I know, we do.
I'm wordy and I talk and talk and talk.
I love it. It's so good. It's all good. It's all good stuff. Oh my God, folks, you can see this. Derek Ross, you're the man. I love you. You're just the man. So thank you.
I love you too, James, and I am appreciative of what you bring to our business. If it wasn't folks like you that are willing to, take out the bullhorn and tell everyone how important the industry is, no one would know. So, thank you for inviting me. This has nothing to do with me. This has nothing to do with you. This is all about, opening this up to others and inviting them into a world that both of us have experienced. I mean, for whatever reason, you want to come in and go and come in, and here you are again, back into the insurance business. What does that tell you, James?
Right. I know it does. And we're going to end it on that note. It's just Quote Me with Insurance Podcast with James Lott Jr. We're here every Tuesday with very interesting people, interesting topics. So make sure you subscribe. Subscribe. Follow, comment, share. If you think somebody should see this, please feel free. Audio and video. So you're at the gym, you're walking your dog, whatever, put in your ear holes, do that. Or you're watching this on your tablet, phone, wherever, computer. Watches, and you think somebody needs to hear this, please pass it on to someone else. It's my pleasure doing this show. I love doing this show for myself and JLGB and for the folks out there, and they're going back. He'll be back in another time. He'll be back. So, young people, we want you in the business. We'll see you next time.
Bring it and hang loose, people.